What is going on, guys? It is me, Troy, and I'm here, of course, again with another video. Thank you, everybody who recently commented, liked, and subscribed, and all those things of that nature. Anyway, I decided to take this last month and to read cozies, specifically the series that I'm following up on as it pertains to how I read the first book in each of these series last time around this time of year. I appreciate so much that you guys have either liked or commented or subscribed to this channel after discovering some of my cozy focused videos. So this is just me going ahead. Well, there's that bus again. There's the airlocks, the air brakes. There's the engine. And pretty soon we might hear the kids jumping off and cheering and cheering and cheering with a first book that I ended up finishing already was Framed in Lace, which is the second book in Monica Ferris's Betsy Devonshire needlecraft mystery series. As you guys know, in my books, Cozy Mysteries That I Adore video, I read the first book, Cruel World, and absolutely loved it. The big emotional gratification of the moment within Cruel World was how Betsy ended up running across the body of her sister who was murdered in her needlecraft shop. Remember, that gave me chills. So that alone sold me with the series, as well as how the author put Betsy through the grieving process. So of course I was excited to read up the follow-up. It took me a year later, but I still was excited. And that was Framed in Lace. Framed in Lace, what's happening is that Betsy, living in this town that she's new to, she's now the proprietor or the owner of the needlecraft shop that her sister once owned and she inherited it. Betsy still is trying to get to know her neighbors, trying to get to know the town folk. So she is invited to this barge where they're going to lift up a sunken steamboat, I think either the steamboat or the ferry, out of the lake surrounding that town. What the town is going to do is that once they retrieve this pretty much damaged ferry or steamboat, they're going to renovate it and get it back on the lake. But unfortunately what happens is once they pull the steamboat out of the lake, human remains are found aboard. Tied to those human remains are a silk scarf. Each of these elements are somehow connected to a waitress who went missing in 1949. So it's a history revisiting mystery. Anyway, I am sold on Monica Ferris. I have yet to really see, well, I won't say that. I'll take that back. I retract that. But what I will say that I like so much about Framed in Lace is that with these being a needlecraft mysteries, I love the fact that with that silk handkerchief found next to the human remains, that was throughout the entirety of the mystery, that was the backbone to the investigative process and never deviated from that at all. So what I mean is that all the clues were drawn about from that particular handkerchief, and you would think, well, what all can you get out of it? It's just a handkerchief. Many mysteries have that going on, you know, that's always a red herring or a clue. But what Monica Ferris does is that she really takes on the subject. It's so much more to it. She has her characters look at the way the handkerchief was, I guess you would say, woven. You know, how the stitching was done, how there was a butterfly pattern on the stitch, and how that correlates to the signature of someone within that town who has been a part of that community for decades. So she really squeezes everything she can out of that handkerchief, and she did a good job to me. And that's why I said before that I like some cozy mysteries with different elements, some needlecraft, some, as I said, yoga, etc., etc. It's because, you know, you learn a little bit between all of that, between all the murder mystery and the investigative process. So that was interesting. I won't say that I fully downloaded the terminology of bobbing and needlecraft and stuff, but I still appreciate it. I still appreciated the author incorporating those little elements within the murder mysteries. Now, even with that being said, although, you know, the much more moving pieces, the emotional pieces that I received from the first book regarding Betsy's sister being murdered, that, of course, naturally dissipated a little bit. It wasn't as prevalent in the second book in the series. You know, it just wasn't. You know, Betsy's still grieving, but that element is not, like I said, prominent. I still enjoyed the character of Betsy. I still enjoyed how she is, to me, she is that character who is great at narrating with the events in the town from someone who both doesn't have any understanding of the subject of needlecraft, as well as I like the fact that she is like the new girl in town, the new person. So she has both different dynamics, relationships with other members of the community. So anyway, I love it. At the end of the day, it was a cozy read that really grabbed my attention. That is so important to me. Like, let me tell you something. If I'm reading a book, especially a cozy, and I wake up in the morning and I read it with my coffee instead of like watching YouTube or something, and I pick it up in the middle of the day and pick it up at night, if I'm constantly picking it up, that means I love it. You know, I just love it. But anyway, Framed and Lace by Monica Ferris, the second book in her Betsy Devonshire series, is still an adore. It's still an adore.